Thank you everyone for attending. We'll start off with the formalities of appointment of the chair. Anybody wish to propose anybody?
I propose yourself.
Thank you, Brian. Anybody wish to step in there?
I'm looking back at you, sir.
Okay, all those in favour? Good. Okay, I will reluctantly chair then. Apologies for absence. Any declarations of interest? Good. Okay, what we'll do, I'll explain the format. I think that we introduce all of ourselves first and then we'll know who we are. I'm Simon Carswell. I'm councillor for Street.
I'm Brian Smedley, I'm a councillor for Bridgewater. I'm Hugh Davis, I'm a councillor for always working it out. Willington, Watchet, down to Guernsey, it's my district.
And I'm Leslie Boland, I'm on the Council of Senior House Lawyers, and my purpose and functioning this morning is to provide advice and assistance to the panel on things that would be issues.
My name's Lynn Nicholson, I'm the committee manager, and I'll just take some notes from today. So I'm Alison Evans, I'm licensing officer at the council, and I'm going to facilitate the application.
Steve Elliott, owner and manager of the Chapel in Copperson.
Thank you very much. Okay. So what will happen is we'll ask the licensing officer in a minute to present the case. We can then ask questions of her, including yourself, we'll go in turn. And then we will ask you to present your case. And again, we can ask questions of you. There are no other responsible authorities here or the objector, so we won't be asking them to present any case. So it's quite straightforward. And then after that's all happened, we'll ask the licensing officer to sum up, yourself to sum up, and then we will retire to make a decision. And we should be able to make a decision within a shortish period of time. And then we'll reconvene. If you want to stay for the decision, you're welcome to, or you will receive notice of our decision within 5 working days. And also the right to appeal if that's applicable. Okay, so shall we start with the licensing officer?
Yeah, so obviously we received an application. If you can't hear me, by the way, please say, because I'm quite quiet. It's a bit like that. To vary the premises license for the chapel in Copwood St Luke. The application was to extend some of the hours for the licensable activities that they have on the license, and to add, I believe it was live music. Yeah, and then of course some of it could be outside, but the timing's all in the application that you see with the report. We received a representation from an objector, which I've obviously put in with the report. I did want to say with the representation, majority of it, I would say, is irrelevant to the licensing objectives. It's mainly about noise. The antisocial behaviour, I have spoken with the applicant about that, and he's confirmed that it's not coming from his premises. It's teenagers playing in the car park, and I can confirm that we've not had any reports of antisocial behaviour recorded to licensing of environmental conduct that I'm aware of. So again, how relevant that is, I'm not sure. And I've tried numerous times to contact the objector, and I've had absolutely no contact whatsoever. So I haven't been able to mediate, haven't been able to discuss their concerns, or to discuss the intentions of the applicant. So that's why we're here today.
Thank you. Questions of the licensing officer? You?
No, not really.
Fine.
No.
Just one question. Can you just confirm that you've had no representation from the police or from?
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, sorry, no, I haven't had any other representations from any responsible
I was
authorities.
going to say,
Yeah,
please haven't.
no, they raised no concerns
No
whatsoever.
concerns.
Irish Council.
And it does get dealt with them as well.
Okay, thank you very much. Mr. Elliott, would you like to present your case?
Yes, certainly. Myself and my wife took over the chapel in December 22, so we've been running the chapel for around about 14 months now. Our history within the village goes back around 15, 16 years that we've lived in Copperson and paid a part in Copperson. My wife worked in the local store for 11 years. So we're quite well known within the village, and we took over the pub with the view that we wanted to bring it back to a village pub as really the hub of Coffee St Luke. We've had huge support from the day that we opened, from the village, locals, customers, neighbours, etc. We work closely. You mentioned the Parish Council. We've worked closely with the Parish Council as well when it came to coronation last year to run something in favour for the village, etc. We pride ourselves on being part of the hub, and we run different events throughout the week, the year, etc. I was saying that ago, including tomorrow, we have a craft event for young children, etc., which we did last year, which was extremely successful. The band evenings we run, which is really the main reason of the change or the requested change, we currently run roughly one event a month, normally on a Friday evening, or in fact, even always on a Friday evening. And we apply for a TENS license. We currently have no live music license as part of the premises, hence the TENS, and also the need to stay open a bit later. So how we currently operate is we apply for the TENS. Live music is normally on from around about 9 o'clock in the evening to past 11. And then we'll keep the bar open until 12. With a view that we'll have everybody out of the building within sort of 10-20 minutes after that. The demographic of the pub tends to be slightly older, tends to be middle-aged and above, to be honest with you. And the bands that we invite in are normally local bands or reasonably local bands, but that's sort of middle of the road music. I'm not going to explain the types of music, but the middle of the road, what you'd expect it. We've never, and I can honestly say, we've never had any need to be concerned about any sort of nuisance or bad behaviour or anything like that. We tend to see our customers as being community based from the village, and we've certainly had no complaints previously. The request that we're asking for is really to remove the need for the TENS. It gives us a little bit of flexibility. We have a couple of weddings booked in this year. We have a couple of small parties booked in this year, and it gives us the flexibility where we can, hold live music without applying for TENS and without the restriction of the amount of TENS that we can hold within a year. We've asked for Thursday, Friday, Saturdays. We have already run one evening. We do intend to run sort of acoustic music on a Thursday evening, which would be within normal hours, normally sort of 8 o'clock through to 10 o'clock. The last event we held was with a couple of well-known youngsters, literally some 13-year-olds who came in and did some acoustic music with their parents supporting. Went down extremely well, very quiet, no sort of effect on the exterior of the pub, etc. We have asked for outdoor as well as indoors. We do intend to hold one live music event on the bank holiday weekend, but it will be an afternoon, and we fully intend to speak to all our neighbours beforehand and make sure it's positioned in a good place at right sort of level. But we are looking at that as being an afternoon event. We have no intention whatsoever of holding live music outside in the evening. I just sort of want to make that clear, I guess. Regarding the objector, we have had one neighbour come and speak to us and talk to us directly, and she's gone away, I think, extremely happy once we've explained what our intentions are. We've had no contact with the objector whatsoever. She does live directly opposite the co-op, and the sort of wording regarding teenagers, we are aware there is a situation at the moment where we've personally been involved in going and approaching teenagers in the car park regarding sort of playing, noise, etc. They're not customers of the chapel, and we do it just really as part of a piece of being in the community, I guess. And to support that, I do sort of every morning tend to go up and have to do a little bit of a litter sweep around the co-op car park off cans of cider, etc., which we don't sell. And sort of rubbish. So we are very aware that it does, the co-op car park, which is next door, does tend to be a sort of a gathering point from the local youth club, etc. Like I said, we've had no complaints whatsoever from the pub. And it's certainly not our customer base, it's not even our age group. We don't attract teenagers or youngsters. It is, so that's really the case. It's just really to give us a little bit more flexibility as the year goes on. We don't intend to be adding much more to our sort of current live music as to what we do currently.
Thank you very much. Brian?
A couple of questions. Acoustic music, I'm assuming you mean totally unamplified, do you? Have you used microphones and stuff like that?
No, it is amplified. It is amplified.
Yeah. And the type of music, said you wasn't sort of describing what it was from, and you say middle of the road, that cover bands and.
It's cover bands. It's your sort of, I hate using the word rock because that could always, but it's that sort of, I don't know, middle of the road.
Do you have an in-house PA system, or do you rely on bands to bring their own PA system?
We do have an in-house PA system, but we do rely on bands to provide their own equipment, which tends to be what they prefer.
Does that include the technician, or do you have a technician?
Including technicians.
So whichever band's going to provide their own technicians and the sound system. So I'm just thinking about gauging the level, regular levels of noise with the neighbours. So you'd be aware of the premises what the concerns might be for them.
Yes. So just to support that, one regarding the bands that we use, we only tend to invite bands in that are have been referred to us. So we tend to talk to other pubs, etc. And we do tend to go for what we call class as quality bands. We'd like to call ourselves a quality pub. Everything that we do, from food to drink to service, etc., is quality. So the bands have to follow suit. From a noise point of view, I appreciate it's not scientific. However, we always make sure that once bands are playing or live music or any music, in fact, is playing, we make sure that all our doors are shut. It is the building is an old church which has sort of negative and positive points. The positive is the walls are 10 foot deep or whatever. The negative is they're stained glass windows, which are thinner than your windows today. So we've taken a lot of time in making sure the positioning of the bands within the pub and the positioning of speakers is directed in a position that doesn't really allow it to escape out the building too much. And 2, we always make sure all the doors around the building are shut, including the main entrances. And 3, I personally make a point of walking around the building once the band starts to actually understand what you can hear and what level. Because of obviously today and the objection, I did make a point last Friday, which was the last time we had a band, of going and standing outside, roughly outside the complaints house, which like I say is directly opposite the co-op. So I also made a point of going into the co-op and standing behind their doors, which would be parallel with the house. You couldn't hear anything from within, behind glass doors, basically. And it's very, very minimal what you could hear. It was very much background noise that you could hear outside. Again, we asked the band to remind customers when they're leaving to be quiet. We've got signage, etc. And we personally tend to monitor the outside when people are leaving at the end of the evening. So we do everything in our power to make sure that we're not causing sort of noise pollution outside.
In any, you've not been there sort of been in the village too long, not been doing this too long, but have you had any run-ins, any dealings with the district or problem authorities there concerning what they might call audibility points, whereby their environmental health officer would point to certain places to go to outside of the village, outside of the premises, say if it's so much level here, so much level there.
No, we haven't.
Have you may be able to discern that yourself without that?
Yes.
You do a good surround tree.
Yeah, we I think the positioning of, obviously the chapel itself, sorry, I don't know if you know it or not, but it is a very, very big building. It's a big old church. And, we do have obviously neighbouring houses. So we're very, very aware of where those direct neighbours would be. Like I say, we can almost, we can write off probably, 3 sides of the building because physically the noise doesn't escape to those houses. So we are very aware that there is only one direction where you could hear some noise. And like I say, we do make a point of checking. I haven't got the science behind it as such, but we would then lead the bands as to what level of noise, whether or not we need to turn it down, etc.
That's all about one final point though. I don't know what police cover you have in that area. I suspect not as much as some people like, but do you get any regular visits through a private place into the area, or do you, as you seem to be saying, police yourselves with?
Yeah, I'd like to, certainly, we've been in the village, like I say, 15, 16 years. Part of the reason we've been in the village so long is it just feels a very, very safe village, very close community. It's a professional village. I would describe it rather than a more rural village. I certainly have never felt any need or even felt unsafe within the environment we're in. The village does get visited by the police, and there are, and there's community sessions held, etc. But I can honestly say, I've never felt the need for any real sort of concern, and we've not been, in the time that we've been running the pub, which is like I say now about 14 months, we've not had any concerns.
Wonderful. Thank you. Yes, thank you, Chair. As a matter of interest, I did a report around your place yesterday because I'm at Willerton.
Yes, I know you.
I thought I recognised you. I thought, do I
Long time, but
do
yes.
I declare an interest? We being the axe retailer in Willerton. Yes, all you've been saying to us is spot on, really. I was quite surprised at the strength of this complaint. You say a neighbour spoke to you from across the road. Was it that person?
No, so if you've seen the layout of the building, you'll have an idea. But being the chapel in shape and design, sorry, there is a reason for explaining this. It is a traditional church shape, so it is the cross, and on all 4 ends, as it were, we've got stained glass windows. The person that's actually directly come to me is the closest house to the building, but also the closest house to one of the big stained glass windows. So if there's a noise leak, that is the house that's going to be the most affected. We've had really long conversations. She is a customer, but she's also did raise a concern when she first saw the application. I've explained what I'm doing. I've explained the fact that we don't really intend to increase the amount of music. But what the feedback from herself, which was really positive, was the fact that we have actually spent a lot of time in where we position the band within the pub, which has removed the noise leaks through those windows. So actually that the houses that are closest to the pub and closest to the stained glass windows are now sort of not affected by the direct sort of direction of the speakers when a band's playing. So the bands play downstairs, they play underneath the mezzanine floor, and the speakers are the furthest point away from the windows. So we had a really good conversation. She's gone away happy. She's been in the pub since. She's come in when we've had bands since, and there's been no concern. And that is our direct neighbour. That is the closest house to the building.
You're saying opposite, straight opposite on the main road that leads down there.
Yeah. There's sort of 5 houses, and it's the one literally closest point to where the buildings would touch as such.
Yeah, I picked that up when I came down there. You've also got neighbours on the side of
Yes, yeah.
which would have the windows there.
So, yeah, so funny enough, all the neighbours, on the other side are quite regular customers. And even New Year's Eve, one of them commented on the fact that they physically cannot hear the music. And again, it's because of the shape of the building, even though they're very, very close to the pub, the walls, the direction of any speakers, etc., they physically cannot hear them. So you can walk out of the building when there's a band playing. Within a few yards, the sort of the rear and the left of the building, you can't hear anything at all. The front you can hear a little bit, but at the back, and they've all confirmed to me that they can't hear anything at all.
The other interesting point was those later hours, how are you fixed staff for security reasons? Because people travel to you. Once you get a reputation,
Yeah,
people will come to you. That's what we want. That's what you're
it is, yeah.
But have you got a sort of what should we call it, an alarm system, shall we say, for if there is a problem?
We have, we always, I would say, suggest unusual staff when we have a band night. Our normal sort of main staffing would be during food service. However, when there's a band, we maintain the staff through the evening. You know, general purposes, clearing glasses, etc. And sort of, sort of moving furniture back, etc. at the end of the evening. But we're very careful about what staff we have on, from a point of view of sort of seniority, etc. And that what gives us the ability to be able to probably free ourselves up, and specifically myself as well, free myself up to be able to walk the floor, talk to people, and you know, we found that approach alone works. You know, just generally talking to people at the end of the night, checking they've had a good night, asking them to leave quietly. It gives us the ability to sort of watch car park, watch people leaving the building as well. And you know, if we've got a need to ask people just to be quiet, we do so. But again, we've not had any real concerns. New Year's Eve was the only occasion where we physically manned the door because it was a ticket-only event. But again, no concerns, no issues. And it was, you know, it was really more a meet and a greet rather than manning the door as such, if you know what I mean.
You got the co-op, have you got a situation there with them, the use of that car park? Because is there a car park, I think?
It's not, it is public car park. It is, I believe, maintained by the council and owned by the council. People call it the co-op car park for obvious reasons, but you've got the community centre behind, or the church and community centre also behind us and the co-op, and that car park tends to be used by themselves. We've got a good relationship with the manager of the co-op. She tends to keep us informed of any sort of concerns from their side, but it does tend to be more the co-op. And in late, I would suggest we're supporting them rather than the other way around. We are aware they've had some challenges in the co-op, but again, it's not related to the chapel or our customers.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm happy with that.
Thank you. I've just got a couple of brief questions. Obviously, the chapel was a chapel for many years, but how long has it been a pub? Stroke?
2003, I believe, was first licence.
And is that a similar amount of time as to when the houses were built around it?
The school and the sort of first group of houses were around about 25 years ago. The pub or chapels remained derelict for a period of time. Like I say, we moved into the village ourselves 16 years ago, and it just opened then. And it's been, we're the fourth sort of licence holders in that time. The last, I suppose, the longest has been our predecessors who were there for 8 years.
Okay, thank you. You mentioned older demographic. For you of my age, I've seen that in their 80s then, isn't it?
Something like that. No, it's I would suggest you're looking at sort of 40s upwards, tend to be.
And when you mentioned middle of the road, I thought chirp cheeky. I sang at holiday camp contest in the 70s. I didn't win. Okay.
Absolutely.
Leslie,
I think it's probably worth mentioning as well, that is the rear of the pub, but back in June last year, we opened a coffee shop. So we've got the pub at the front, we've also got a coffee shop at the back. And, you know, I'd like to sort of think really with the combination of the pub and the coffee shop, we pretty much bring in the whole sort of age group around the village. So, you know, it's quite actually interesting in the morning. It's a different group of customers that are coming to the coffee shop, etc. However, the mix works, and you know, again, it's all around us sort of being the centre of the community and you know, truly trying to provide a hub for the community.
Yeah.
Are you part of a group? Or are you, you work for your
It's a
business?
complete freehold, and yes, my business,
Because it says directly here and it gives
just because we're a limited company.
Dan
And
Kenneth.
yeah, so we're a limited company. It's myself and my wife.
Yeah.
The for purposes of company house, it's our accountant's address.
Thank you.
That's not unusual, so.
Yeah.
And in fact, before Mr. Elliott came in, I was on Company's House looking at the company, and yes, it's just Mr. Elliott and his wife.
Leslie, you've got any questions?
No, I have no questions.
Okay, anybody else?
I don't know if I do my permission statement.
Yeah.
Okay, that's fine.
No question. Thank you. So there's no responsible authorities, so we go skip through that. The objector isn't here. So we've all read the objection. Do we have to have it read out, Leslie? Or
No, I don't think so, but I think what I would say is that the objector isn't here, and therefore what she says has not been subject to questioning either by yourselves or further inquiry by yourselves or by Mr. Elliott or by the licensing officer. So that being the case, you have to apply the appropriate weight in those circumstances, and it will be a different weight had the objector attended and been able to deal with inquiries and questions. So that's all I would say.
Yes.
No need to read it out. It's in.
And the objections, though some of them were regarding licensable valid objections, some of them were nothing to do with licensing.
Irrelevant, really, yeah.
Thank you. Okay, we're going to ask the applicant to sum up for us. Is there anything you wish to say?
No, I don't think it's much more than more really, apart from I suppose our personal disappointment really is the fact that we've not had the opportunity to work with the complaint. And you know, everything, you know, I generally mean this, everything that we do within the chapel and everything that we do moving forward is very much around being part of Copford St Luke and having a big part to play in Copford St Luke. So, you know, I suppose what I'd like to sum up is the fact that, you know, even moving forward, we'd still like to work with anybody within the village to make sure that, you know, we're providing the best service for them, but also understanding where there is a challenge and you know, being able to work with them. And, you know, I would still reach out, sorry, I forgot the name of
It's Copton or
yes, yeah, I'd still reach out and, you know, more than welcome to approach us so that we can, you know, try and sort of
Yes.
alleviate those concerns.
Thank you. Licensing officer.
Hi, so, yeah, I think to echo, Mr. Elliott's words really is that I think it's unfortunate the objector hasn't communicated with us because you know, mediation is really good. And having spoken with Mr. Elliott, you know, his intentions are to have the live music and type of recorded music, but, you know, the extended time is more to allow finishing of drinking, packing the band down, that sort of thing. And I know I've pointed out in my report, but with the deregulation of the Act, he is able to have live music until 11 PM anyway, amplified and unamplified, because it's a licensed premises serving alcohol. So he's only asking for a little bit of extra time, really. And as I said, you know, it's more a case of being able to sort of close down and wind down, because you don't just finish at midnight and then shut the doors and everyone's out. So, and there is also a condition on the licence about noise emissions not being audible between the hours of 11 PM to 11 AM on any day during the times when licensable activities are provided. And it's saying at the facade of any residential premises. Again, Mr. Elliott's going out and checking, so I guess it's being monitored. And again, I think people always get a bit worried when a licence is applied for, but he is able to apply for 10 star, and because we've had some complaints, they wouldn't necessarily be infused, so it would continue on anyway. So I guess it's just taking that into account.
Yes, that indicates the need for Mr. Elliott to keep 5 to 10.
Yeah, and there's more control in the license.
Okay, I think that's everything. So now what I ask everyone is to leave the room apart from the committee and the legal officer and the democratic services officer. If you wish to wait, Mr. Elliott,
If that's okay.
then that's fine.
Just
And we'll have a discussion and then we'll be back in when we're ready.
all right, thank you.
I can go to the lid.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you, everyone. We've heard the licensing officer and the applicant. There was one objector who is not in attendance and has not engaged with the licensing team. Because the object has not been able to expand or reiterate their concerns, we haven't been also able to question her, and therefore we must give the appropriate weight to her complaint. Also, her complaint did contain matters that were not relevant to the application. We therefore decided to grant the application as sought. You will receive written confirmation within 5 working days, and the objector or anybody else, just the objector, has a right to appeal. Is it just the objector or anybody?
Anybody has right.
Anybody has a right to appeal within 21 days of receipt of the written decision. Okay, thank you all for your time.
Yes, but the decision notice will give those timing, the place in Monster.
So, thank you very much. Simply,
Thank you.
appreciate your time.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you for coming.